Hi, how you doing? I'm the executive chef of Ciro's in Manhattan, Nicholas Armstrong. I'm here today to show you how to cook a stovetop brisket. All right, this is our brisket here. This is beef brisket. I'm gonna go ahead and season it up for us. We wanna go heavy on the seasoning. There's a large piece of meat. Season evenly, flip the other side. And the first thing that we're gonna wanna do is get a nice hard sear on this. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and sear off the beef in what's known as a rondeau. This is a large-sized braising unit. Nice high heat. Just trying to really get that nice color so we can bring out the flavor. Searing generally is getting a really, really hot, conductive metal. This one here is aluminum, and you're really looking to get color on that meat. Make sure we get a nice even browning on all sides. Stand it up here and make sure I get the bottom. All right, now that our searing's pretty much done, we're gonna come over here and pay attention to our mirepoix, which is a simple vegetable medley known as onions, carrots, and celery. This pot is big enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start caramelizing my onions right in the heat, right with the meat. I like to start with the onions so we can sweat them out, get that nice flavor out and into what's gonna be our broth. I like to salt heavily on the onions because it really draws out the moisture and it helps them caramelize. The process of caramelizing your onions comes in with the heat. There's actually sugars within the onion that change with the temperature. So you're really gonna wanna brown it up, get it nice and caramelized. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna come in with are my diced carrots and my diced celery. And this completes the mirepoix. Once again, I like to season in layers. Every ingredient I put in, I like to re-season bit by bit. And it gives it a more balanced seasoning in the end product. Now that we got a head start on our veg here, I'm gonna go ahead and add in our garlic. It's about 4 cloves or so, should cover you for the entire braise. Okay, now that our veg is pretty much cooked here, we're looking at the bottom of the pan. This is what you'd call a fond. This is how you make gravies, things of that nature. We're going to be looking to deglaze, but here's the kicker. Usually when you deglaze, which is just the removing of the fond with an acid, it's usually with wine, something of that nature, but today we're using beer. This is Guinness. This is a dark stout, and we're just going to let that simmer for a little bit. Now once I get my liquid in, usually that's a prompter for me to go ahead and start adding in my herbs. And right here I have some fresh thyme, and I'm usually pretty generous with it because it is my favorite herb. Go ahead and mix that throughout so it's nice and incorporated. And we'll just let that simmer for a minute. So now that we're up to temp here, what I like to do is start developing flavors, adding layers. So I'm going to come in with some Dijon mustard, which is going to give it a little zip. Freshly chopped tomato. This is going to give a little acidity and lend a majority of the flavor with a tomato-based product. Add seasoning. Season in layers, always. Go ahead and let that cook out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a little bit of Pomodoro tomato. These are canned tomatoes. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere. And this is just going to go ahead and beef up that nice tomato flavor. As you can see, we're starting to get a lot of the residual liquid out of the mirepoix, out of the tomatoes, and some of it out of the meat itself. All right, now that we're bubbling here, we got our liquid going. I'm gonna go ahead and add our last ingredient, and that's gonna be some beef stock. Okay, and that's gonna give it a nice base for the flavor to work off of. If you can't make your own beef stock, you can definitely find some good. I know Swanson's, things of that nature, has some good beef stock in the supermarket, and that'll work just as well. All right, so we're gonna get this up to a simmering temp. You want about 185, which is the proper braising temperature, not too harsh on the meat, and it's gonna make it really nice and tender if you let it sit for a while. You can leave this right on the stove top and let it reduce down, let it break down. It'll fall apart. When it does, it's the most tender thing you can put in your mouth. And there you have it, stovetop brisket. This has been Stovetop Brisket with Executive Chef Nicholas Armstrong from Ciro's Restaurant, 885 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. I gotta tell you, this is one of my favorite recipes. It's so easy. Try it. You'll love it. I guarantee it.